Memory transcription subject. Onzo. Your tool technical specialist. Date. Standardized human time. March 3rd, 2137. The march toward Colchian territory couldn't happen in a single step. Rather, it was a monumental push throughout the galaxy. The Terrans stopping by Leirn to integrate a handful of Yorto-built ships into their formation proved convenient. I didn't need to ferry myself to Earth when the UN were docking above my world. Even if they would never give voice to these sentiments, I knew humans thought most herbivores were liabilities in combat. However, they showed no such reservations about having vessels crewed by our fiery sailors. The minutiae of Yorto bureaucracy were also unique in our relations with Earth. No other species would have dared to host an exchange program on human soil, but millions of our kind were already there for the rebuilding efforts. The first meeting took place in a city called Brussels, the art of some amalgamate faction known as the European Union. Tyler, for a man as lacking in foresight as he was, attempted a delicate tap dance around prey sensibilities at first. Perhaps the UN's program had suggested such restrictions for the human side, but I suspected my pal drew those conclusions from interacting with Leirn. Regardless, hosting the mate upon Terran grounds meant that, despite my gushing about the smallest details of our home, Tyler had never actually seen or set foot on Leirn. I was bouncing with excitement for the tour I had planned. The sole upside of chicking out in this manner was getting to nerd out about my hometown. Finally, an alien who cared about us. Or pretended to care. The big guy certainly cared about me, but I knew he'd find my grocery list of fun facts boring. Alright, Onzo, look alive. They're almost here. I perked my ears up as the shuttle docks in the spaceport, and waved once I spotted the massive human among a crowd of sailors docking for a few hours of shore leave. Tyler! Over here! The blonde hominid strolled over with a goofy grin.
How's it going, buddy? Up top.
I obliged the Terran's odd tradition of smacking his raised hand and wagging my tail. I'm glad we finally get to show you around Leirn. I know we only have a few hours, so that means we've got to hurry.
I'd pace yourself, Onzo. You're dealing with a persistence predator.
A persistence predator whose diet has been entirely ramen and mac and cheese. Those cards are going to keep you persistently on your ass.
So you did read my texts?
I don't know what I'm supposed to say to a blurry profit picture of a half-eaten cup of ramen with a plastic fork in it. And a few noodles hanging over the side.
It's called keeping in touch. Not all of us can be all E equals MC squared.
You don't even know what those letters mean.
Ouch! Alright. You win the ribbing contest. As a reward, I guess I'll let you play the new video games I brought. This time, I picked ones with turn-based combat. If you smash another controller, I'm gonna make you sit and watch me play.
You can't make me do anything, Tyler. But, I'm sorry about the controllers.
It's okay. Not your money you're pissing down the drain, eh? Easy come, easy go.
Quit ragging on me. I don't have great control of my temper, but you know I haven't been able to even feel angry at all for the past 20 years. My neurochemistry is fucked forever. When I'd first come off the mind-numbing drugs, it was right after the Yorto technocracy voted to join the Terrans following Noah's speech on Arthur. The daily screening stopped at my engineering job in a flash once the Federation was driven off-world in the Great Reclaiming. Having a name like the Great Reclaiming already was a clear sign about how not great we thought the alien occupiers were. The Far Sol had instituted a puppet government, but when given an out, Yorto weren't compliant with their maddening decrees. Anyone who maintained loyalty to the Alien League was ousted, and we sought to make ourselves respectable. After all the horrible things the Federation said about sapient predators, it was obvious it differed from reality. Ambassador Laulo's report on how the humans stood up for us, primitives, made it clear they were the only ones who saw the injustice of it all. Siding with them gave us a fresh start. The current government had settled on the technocracy name, in opposition to the primitive chaps that plagued us in the 22 years since our uplift. These new officials were unelected, something Tyler had been surprised I was okay with. It would be a rude awakening to him that people claiming power to overthrow the Federation tyrants were wildly popular. We've been denigrated for years, and we'd rather have an imperfect government of our own species than one of imperialists. The main focus was centralizing authority across Leirn, rather than clinging to the loose, local overseers that the aliens had used to keep us divided.
I was just giving you shit, buddy. I didn't mean to strike a nerve.
Tyler's expression had become concerned.
You should know this already, but I care about you way more than any controller. Handling emotions is hard as fuck, even for those of us who've had decades of practice. If it makes you feel any better, grown-ass humans get mad about stupider shit than that. I still remember how my batshit crazy old man would scream at the poor umpire in my Little League games.
I have no idea what you're talking about, I responded.
The gist of it is, adults get pissed because their kids lose games when they're playing it for fun. It doesn't matter. My dad's a nutter, always has been. I'd rather you smash a million controllers than do something that extra.
Your stories never seem to translate, but I appreciate you trying. Why don't we get to touring Leirn?
Let's go, Onzo. Living geezer of fun facts.
I like information, and I like sharing it unprovoked. There's worse things out there. Besides, if we're going to be shipping off to the hardest battle of our time together, this is the one upside.
The one upside? What about hanging with your best friend Tyler?
I'm kinda indifferent to that part of the trip.
Fuck you. Bah, lead the way.
The blonde human's head was on a swivel as we exited the spaceport, soaking in the digital adverse that remained. I could remember before the Federation's arrival, Rinzer's current hub of spacecraft had been home to scribes. The printing press rendered the profession of transcribing or copying documents by hand obsolete. It had been the perfect complex to add to the demolition list and replace with something modern. The location set us a block away from the bullet trains that were built atop the ruins of our railroads. More interestingly to Tyler, Sun Yor Tall had dabbled in various Terran cultural imports by choice. Tail Dying was in with the younger crowd. I could see one team with the bright blue tail, which clashed with his reddish fur, pass by us. Others took a fancy to adorning themselves with shiny objects, and were wearing trinkets around their forearms or necks. That jewelry trend caught on with numerous generations, since hand labourers often bound straps around their wrists in the old days. Transforming a symbol of the working class into a classy icon had mass appeal.
I didn't know aliens dyed their fur,
Tyler remarked. I swished my tail lazily. We did, but not weird colours until we met you crazy primates. Some Yortul used powdered leaves to conceal grey fur, but not on this continent. Age is considered a sign of wisdom here in Rinzer.
Getting long in the tooth doesn't mean you're wise. It's about the total sum of your life lessons, and some people don't learn lessons no matter how long they're taught. Source: my dad exists.
You don't like your dad, and you left your dog with him?
Well, it's better than a shelter. There's all sorts of abandoned animals running around on the outskirts of ruined cities. It's sad. Wouldn't do that to old Zeus.
Your dog's name? I've done some research into human mythology to understand that nomenclature. We had a pantheon of gods ourselves, you know. They were a handful of followers up until the Feddies decided it was too primitive to salvage. The old customs were most popular outside the island. One deity was like Zeus, but I don't understand why thunder was the king in many human circuits.
Because it's loud and it burns shit, and that's cool. I'm pretty sure some mythos had sun gods and all, and there's lots of top dog creation and death gods too. I dunno. Who led your pantheon?
Ralchi, the god of fire. He was considered the most powerful god, able to melt or destroy anyone who challenged him. Giver of warmth who lit the very sun.
So Ralchi is a sun god of sorts. Your people got that flames in the sky shit pretty right. The sun kinda is a big fireball.
We don't consider him a god of the sun, not allowed anyways. Ralchi's priests were adamant about the signs he'd send. Our lunar satellite isn't the right proportions and distance to have total eclipses like on Earth, but when the sun had a shadow over it, Ralchi was threatening to take it away. Forests catch on fire, judgment. A building goes up in flames. Ralchi cursed its owner.
So what do you think Ralchi thinks about human fire eaters?
Ralchi doesn't think anything, because it's not fucking real. As for what I think you shouldn't put fire in your mouth. Divine or not, respect nature a little.
We do. It's better than the other aliens who used fire to... shit. I shouldn't have brought that up.
To burn animals alive. It's all right. If Ralchi were real, it'd give those exterminator pricks a taste of their own medicine. Tyler stopped in his tracks, narrowing his eyes.
Onzo, after what happened the past month, I just feel obligated to restate that... If you were ever having thoughts about doing something like that, I hope you'd talk to me. Maybe I say all the wrong things, but there's nothing I wouldn't try to help with. I'd be fucking rabid if someone torched Zeus, so I'm not gonna give you some pacifist bullshit. Just... don't get obsessed with revenge, and don't not reach out.
Tyler, I've always talked about hating the Theds, but I can assure you, while I struggle with my temper, I'm not gonna lose it for good like Slanik. I'm gonna kill those bastards in a disciplined way, by highlighting their shit-ass shicks on the sensor screen. That's what we're doing, bringing them down.
Hell yeah, we're bringing them down the right way too, because we're better than them. I'd say us humans are soft, but that's not really true. It's more that once we open that can of worms, doing evil shit, it doesn't get closed, so we don't cross those lines. If you ever feel any way about that, you can tell me. I might even fucking agree with you. That clear?
Well, I do think that you're soft, but I can also see how you're better than those immoral colonizing pricks. I have no problem following human orders for that reason. Even if I don't understand, I trust you. My bluster is just a way of coping with everything they did, and you know that.
I do. But I'd rather not assume and check rather than have anything happen to you. I'd be all shades of torn up if I lost you, Onzo. You're my much smarter bro.
The blonde human gave me a hearty slap on the back, and I tried to shake off the slight stinging sensation from that affectionately intentioned gesture. It was fresh in my mind how Slanik had declared that he had predator disease, and outright stated that he was aggressive and unstable. My short fuse was something I recognized as a problem, but I was nothing like that then nil. It was good to know Tyler would check on me, and that I could talk to him about anything. When I'd confessed all of the buried baggage about my hens after Sillies, prompted by the sight of Dino, my exchange partner had been sympathetic and supportive. Tyler may not seem like it from the outside, but he's such a soft guy. He's been helpful in letting me express and address my feelings for the first time since the Federation arrived. No predator or prey behavior stick, just acceptance. I jogged down the sidewalk, not wanting to remain sidetracked. I just built rockets, Tyler. Anyone can do that.
Don't rub it in now. Save that remark for Sovlin.
Tyler pouted.
Speaking of that racist old Gajid, you'll never believe this. But you know that Axel I was guarding? Sovlin started lobbying for the UN to let Vizith enlist like she wanted to.
I'm not that gullible.
It's true. Obviously we can't have Vizith on a ship with other herbivore crew, even if it wouldn't piss off the Dominion. Sovlin's on the train duty for the entire trip over, so be sure to rub it in his face. Aliens gotta learn to respect orders. You don't get a damn pass every other day.
Don't go lumping me in with the witless feds. All aliens aren't like that. I've never disobeyed an order. Now, this is my one chance to show you around Windsor, and I plan to regurgitate everything I know.
Wouldn't have it any other way.
Theological was subjected to Beauvau speeches on every landmark. With him present, my sadness over the cultural losses was a blip on my mental radar. I pointed out Tailtwine Theatre, which had a bustling ticket booth. Crowds had poured out in droves to see the classic play, which had been running for over a week now. The entire entertainment district could be refurbished off the proceeds, with the fair being hosted next month. The Ortal acrobats were returning, not having performed since the Federation swore off their stunts as senseless primitive derangement. Tyler was also shown an unassuming tower of dirt down the road, an auspicious field. Yortle would toss a spare seed into the tilled soil based on an old superstition that it would bring good harvests and fortune. The human didn't mock the practice as unscientific. Instead, he wagged the finger at it like he recognized it. Surprisingly, despite their scientific advancement, many Terrans believed in luck. I learned they had similar concepts, namely wishing wells and fountains that they threw coins into. I marveled yet again that a capable, advanced species of extraterrestrials could hold on to past practices.
We got stuff we think's bad luck.
Tyler added.
Walking under ladders, breaking mirrors, opening umbrellas inside. Sometimes it's as random as the number 13 or seeing a black cat. No rhyme or reason. You guys got anything like that?
I noticed that I was passing the old now-shuttered predator disease facility where that awful fossil doctor had treated me. Though I knew this had once been a cutting-edge factory, I would rather talk about luck than this accursed building. It's bad luck to get rainwater in your ears. Something about stealing it from the plants. It's also bad luck to look at a sundial without light shining on it.
So not at night or in a storm?
Yeah. Some people are superstitious enough to cover sundials up in the evening, or when they see clouds on the horizon. I don't really believe in such things, but there's no reason to tempt fate. Just in case.
Same. It's easy enough not to limbo my way under a ladder.
I glanced back over my shoulder in the other direction from Tailtwine Theatre. The research campus where Sarah Rosario had invited me to join her Henza preservation team was that way. Tyler would be elated to meet a Henza and learn about the project, but I didn't want to explain what I'd forsaken to re-up with his squad. The last thing I sought was for my friend to feel guilty over a choice I made of my own volition. That paving also was the direction of my father's current worksite, where his crew were building a gun range. But I suspected he'd be ashamed for me to introduce them to a human there. You know where the Federation wouldn't want us to go? The Arbor. Tyler used to go fishing with his father, and I used to sail. I know we both like water. I turned left, zipping toward the harbour. Here's where we end the tour, Tyler. If Mama's boat hadn't gone up in smoke, I'd take you for a ride. The blunt human stepped onto the dock, and I noticed that several of his kind were present in the marina. Few recreational boats were left, with the rows of moored vessels mostly bringing cargo from outside the island. The Federation, contradictory to their goals of preventing deep-sea exploration, seemed to have gone after anything that looked primitive. I guess their priorities got tangled up. Tyler patrolled the length of the boardwalk, and given his involvement, I decided my commentary wasn't necessary. The Earthling wandered away from the boat, finding a small sandy strip to admire the vista. A relaxed smile spread across his face, and he removed his shoes and socks. He wiggled his toes in the dull green sand before wandering closer to the water. I tailed behind him, ignoring the irritating feel of grit in my fur. How could anyone see how drawn humans were to nature, and think that it was derivative of some hunting instinct? No other species appreciated beauty quite as much as the predators. Tyler turned his head to look at me.
This is wonderful. I'll tell you what, Onzo. We make it back from Kolshian space, and I'll find someone to teach you how to surf. I need to see your tall hand 10.
Something to look forward to on our return. You got a deal, I chuckled. The human flashed his teeth, mirth glowing in his blue eyes. With the hours ticking down before our time to ship out, we sat and enjoyed the sound of crashing waves against Leirn's shoreline. Together, the two of us could find a way to pull through against any foe.